Pericopes and conundrums. Holy God, Robin mutters as he watches out the window. The entire city is shaking and a second noon has arisen. Outside the powerful force fields of the city, a brutal hurricane of embers, ash, and fire screams. The sound is muffled by the shields as both he and Santiago watch in awe and no small amount of horror at the sheer forces battering the world. Apparently, these shows arrive every few months. Santiago states lowly. In the storm, there is briefly the image of a gigantic fanged snake, large enough to crush a skyscraper in its coils. Even the lava serpents are being tossed around by it, Robin states. And this world is still life-bearing, even with this kind of madness, Santiago notes. Most undaunted men were staring out the windows at the obscenely deadly but immensely beautiful display. I don't know. Thunder snows, rains of spiders, flash floods, pandemics, tornadoes. I've even heard that in some places the atmosphere can be so thin, but the wind so high that you get pockets of vacuum. Earth isn't much safer, Robin says, and Santiago considers. Still, it is one hell of a show. Hell being the operative word, Santiago notes. Great big hardened warrior routine, but all you humans are just oversized children watching the world in wonder. Scout notes and Santiago waves for her to leave. Scout, being the playful sort, claps his hand and starts turning it into some weird routine before he pulls his hand away. There goes another lava serpent. Robin notes before half the humans, him included, jump as an enormous form slams into the city shields and is dragged away by the infernal winds. And those things are apocalyptic on their own. In a sense, if they hit an actual ocean, they die fast. They need these temperatures to survive. Most of the fertile parts of the world are made from the corpses of these things, slithering out of their holes and dying in the cool. Scout says, leaning over them both, and Robin looks up at the slime woman threatening to drip on him, but not actually doing so. Now you're just mocking me. He says, even as a large, conspicuous drop slowly descends, then forms a hand and pats him on the cheek. Yes, I am, Scout remarks. How can I not? You're a bunch of overexcited, heavily armed, highly trained children. It's adorable. If it wouldn't kick off a riot, I'd adopt the whole outpost. Right, Robin remarks, and then slowly pushes away the looming tower of dark orange gunk that topples over and reshapes itself into Scout's default form several paces away. Anyways, when you boys can peel your faces away from the routine weather for 10 minutes, we can get back to work. Lunch break is nearly over. There's not much we can do. We're on testing duty and it's against safety protocols to be in any expanded room while a shockwave rattles the city. The odds of the rooms collapsing are minuscule. The blast wave needs to sweep up enough axiom in its flow to condense it into null for that to happen. It's only happened once before. Still too many times. It's why I need to reconsider some of my ideas for helping the Sonir, Santiago remarks. I thought it would be easy, but, if things are done easily, then they're usually done already, Scout remarks. Thank you for that. Do we have any other bits of painfully obvious? Robin begins to snark when the storm suddenly clears, gone as if simply erased from the world. Holy shit. Neat, isn't it? There's a nearly perfect calm right after each blast wave. Scout begins to explain before a final lava serpent tumbles through the air like a toy thrown by a child. It slams its head against the trench wall with an audible clonk and then falls down with such a lack of grace it defies description. Sometimes there's an after show. Is that what that was called? Robin asks somewhat incredulously. Oh, there's no love for those monsters. They're a living natural disaster. So don't worry about one getting hurt. There's always far too many of them, and it's never a bad thing to see a brainless destroyer get smacked around by nature. If you say so. This is your captain speaking. The pressure wave has passed us by and we are beginning to take off once again. We will be back to normal cruising conditions within 15 minutes barring any unexpected developments. Thank you for your patience and have a nice day." The intercom system announces and Scout smiles as she looks up. "You know it's funny, probably due to my being a slobe, but I've always found men's voices more appealing than anything else," she notes. "Really?" Santiago asks. "What about it?" "Well, chemically men and women are much the same to me, but the sound, that lovely rippling rumble of a lower tone, it's soothing," Scout explains, "like a little massage on my core." "Then I suggest listening to opera. The male singers are able to hit all sorts of notes," Robin says, and Scout smiles. "Oh, I'm aware, young man. A good 10 minutes of opera and my stress and issues of the day just fade away," she says before sighing. "Now don't you two have something more to do? Something to do with a mask?" "When we get back to the expanded rooms," Santiago promises. "Really? El Reno is soon to return?" Darkscream asks, as all three of the Sonir women approach. They had each seen hundreds of blast waves at this point. It was just the weather to them. There was something far more interesting up ahead. Both Robin and Santiago lead the two women back to Training Room 3, and there's some tittering and amusement as Santiago once more takes off his jacket and t-shirt and dons the mask to become. El Reno is sorry for the slowness of the preparation. In order to make things perfect, we must be sure that the field of battle itself shall not be destroyed by our deeds. For to fell a foe you are not fighting is far from an acceptable course for a lucha, El Reno announces eagerly. "Once more to reacquaint you three little bats with the rules of this place. There are no easy hints any longer. There is no simple solution such as the time and the sheer theme of the events. There is no specifically suited goon to take down so you can track your foe. You must show mighty minds and mighty bodies, navigate cramped and unusual places, find your path, find your heading and push forward until victory. Remember that we have a spar at the end of things. I will be testing you girls one after another. You will use our provided weapons and must prove to me that you can handle them with ease," Robin explains as he palms a smoke bomb, then throws it down. And with that, he's gone when the smoke clears, and El Reno gives out a bellowing laugh that scatters the last few wisps of smoke. He is enthusiastic, is he not? "Now, forward you three, forward unto the case. Do recall that a greater prize yet awaits you, for the man beneath the might mask of El Reno will be yours for an evening each if you pass," El Reno announces, and all three girls rush forward to go along the plan they had whispered to each other, while the men watch the blast wave batter the city. He holds a pose with hands on his hips as he watches all three women vanish before casually walking over towards a place in the floor, and he taps it twice before jumping onto it. He falls clean through the floor itself as the hologram that had been solid moments ago is now nothing more than an illusion. He lands in the arena to find Robin checking over the practice weapons, padded swords, pugil sticks, boxing gloves, and a series of darts with the soft tips. "Do you think this is going to come across as insulting?" Robin asks, as Santiago slips off the mask of El Reno and approaches from behind. "The insult won't last long when we tell them it's to avoid hurting precocious children. The maternal instincts of the galaxy's women are as strong as their lusts, and their lusts are beyond compare," Santiago states. "Still a little uncomfortable with things? When I build a family, I thoroughly intend to be both the foundation that holds it up and the highest tower that they all aspire to. That's going to be hard enough with one wife and a few children leading into grandchildren and then great-grandchildren," Santiago says before crossing his arms and considering. "However, it gets much more difficult when it comes to the outright clans and communities that are the immediate families of the galaxy at large. Head of a family is one thing, head of a clan is another. So stall for time as you get yourself and others ready. Time is something we all have in enormous abundance with the healing coma. Until you don't. Age isn't a problem, but violence is. All it takes is one idiot with the wrong tool at the wrong time, and 1,000 years of duty can be wiped away, Santiago says, and Robin makes a considering noise in the back of his throat. You've dialed back on the Spanish. I had some time to think when we were watching the blast wave. Even if it is my beloved mother tongue, it can sound like any number of other languages to the galaxy at large, and frankly, I want to know more about them before I start speaking too much Spanish. The galaxy is easily wide enough for several languages to sound just like Spanish, and if that does happen, then they could misinterpret everything I say. Sounds a little overcautious to me. After all, languages shift all the time, more like a living thing, and both men pause in the conversation when a wall lights up to reveal itself as a screen. There are only 4 clues in the area that matter at all, and each of them is surrounded by hidden cameras and motion detectors, with fake cameras and detectors all over the place to fool the people that follow the wires to see what place is more important. The mannequin hand with the fake blood around it is quite the sign, but not a big one. There are several different criminals that might take a hand off one way or another. It's ambush night that's finding it, and even as she examines, but doesn't touch, the hand and trail of blood that surrounds it, another clue is homed in on. Or not, as Shadow Flight moves right past the damaged gun and bullet cases. Pity, Robin notes before his muttering seemingly summons back the Sonier woman who's overlooking the gun and bullet casings. There was a fight. Shadowflight mutters to herself before committing the scene to memory and doing the smarter thing than ambush night and taking a picture with her communicator. There we go, Santiago notes as Shadowflight takes several more and then rushes away in search for more clues. Maybe that was too obvious. A gun damage that way can only be done by 1 or 2 villains, provided she doesn't get distracted by the false clues. Robin notes, and then there's a pause as both men outright expect another screen to turn on to show Dark Scream at another clue. But no. I could have sworn... Heh. Santiago lets out a huff of amusement even as there's sound behind them both. They turn and there's Dark Scream. I've come too far, haven't I? She asks. Depends. Do you want to make a guess on who has done what down here? With no clues! No way! You could get lucky, Robin says with a grin at the double entendre. I'm trying to. That's why I'm not taking chances. Excuse me. Dark Scream answers before turning around and heading back down the tunnel. Better brush your teeth, big man. These girls are focused on getting you. Stay focused. We do have a job to... Santiago begins to correct him before both men turn to see a screen flicker and then turn off as whoever triggered the motion sensors didn't stick around for long. Or maybe it was a false alarm. Want to practice between ourselves as we wait? I'm feeling a little energetic, Robin asks. Sure, I'll run you over with a pugil stick. Santiago dismisses. You may be bigger and stronger. Santiago interrupts. Debatable. Robin counters. Without axiom involved, I'm objectively stronger than you. Santiago states. Not by enough to make a difference. I can still beat you. You're legal. You're focused on paperwork with self-defense and soldering as a secondary. I'm primarily a field man. I'm in better shape. Santiago says, even as he walks over to the rack and grabs a pugil stick, which he then tosses to Robin, who catches it with ease as he picks up another for himself. I can still win, and I can have a spontaneous stroke, Santiago taunts him. If you sent me a notarized letter, you couldn't be asking for it any harder, Robin states, and Santiago cracks his neck. That's the idea.